Didn't throw away the wrapper, huh?
He was thrown to the wolves.
He really was.
Well, the question was raised earlier about where storage of shirts.
Well, the storage of shirts is nowhere because Martin gave them all away.
Oh, so there are no more.
There are shirts will be on order tomorrow.
Oh, but there are no more.
There are no more at this given moment.
We got a lot of pins and refrigerator magnets and stickers.
So many refrigerators.
But no shirts. Which is a good thing, actually. Yeah, actually, a lot of people wanted smaller sizes, but we only had what was left was the largest sizes. So a lot of people that wanted them couldn't really get them because they didn't want to take an extra large.
Oversized clothes are bad.
Yeah, so
Oversized fitting clothes.
yeah, we know now to order a lot of smaller sizes.
You want to be in charge? It's my last
Yeah.
meeting.
Well, you did it.
I guess we'll find. Is that? We finding that out today? Oh,
No,
okay.
you serve until, if you want to.
Oh.
Like, continue serving, yeah. If there's no reappointment made, it doesn't mean that you're done.
Even though I'm no longer in board.
Yeah, we're gonna continue on. I spoke to the mayor about it. So if you'd like to continue serving,
Great.
Absolutely.
Just kidding. This is not my last meeting.
we are going to continue on with that. Now, that could change if someone makes an appointment, but at this moment, if you would like to continue serving with us,
I'll stay.
Hello, you.
Right now, we don't have a ward four person
yeah.
to appoint.
So,
Last time around, it took a while.
Which part of town is work for?
so it's for mostly River Forest, but then it does jet over into the avenue over here.
What's up, Gabby? I'm good.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and we can get started. Yep. All right, the time is about 7:04, so we'll call the December Equity and Inclusion Committee meeting to order. I'll go ahead and call attendance. Bess Bailey,
Here.
Yvonne Salinas,
Here.
Martin Newton,
Here.
Ashley Phillips,
Here.
and Gabby Flores.
Here.
So we have a quorum, and I was going to recognize any guests that we have. So we have Councilmember Saper, and would you like to introduce yourself, or are you just?
Sure. My name is Jill Mesmer, and I met Martin Newton last night at the Multicultural Festival, and he invited me to come.
Awesome. Well, that was quick work, Martin. Hey, we have a meeting tomorrow if you want to come, so that's a good deal. Thank you very much for coming. So the voting members who are absent, I believe it's just Zetta Hammersley at this point. And does anyone want to approve the meeting minutes? This is all the way back from September, our last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Ayes have it. Any comments from the public? I don't think we have too many. Does anyone?
I was thinking that I was going to present that to the city council. Do you think it's better for me to present those ideas about what we talked about here?
we are the Equity and Inclusion Committee, but
Could you present them to the council maybe?
well, I got one of these done for you today. There's one right here next to you, and here the administrator right here. So
You could do both.
you can bypass the middleman.
Okay, well,
But
do you want me to speak?
yes, but the mic is here. I mean, you step
Well,
up to
then
the
I
mic.
am gonna go to the mic.
Absolutely.
Technology is great when it works. So. Alright. Oh my God, how'd I ruin this? So Jen, my name is Jill Messmer, and I'm not from North Kansas City. I'm actually from the Columbus Park area over across the bridge. But I do have clients here, I shop here, I recreate here, I dance at Paul and Jack's, and might even go over to the jam session over at Christina's after I'm finished here. But last night I came, like I said, to the Multicultural Festival, and I was just blown away by these young kids and what they are accomplishing. And then I met Mr. Martin Newton, and we had quite a conversation, and he invited me to this meeting, so that's why I'm here. And what I was seeing was so much progress towards equity and inclusion, but I became aware that North Kansas City is still designated as a sundown town. Were any of you aware of that? You look horrified. Yeah, still. Yes, according to what I read on the internet, and we all know that's true. But yeah, absolutely. And so I don't know if everyone is familiar with what a sundown town is, but I'm just going to read it so that I don't screw it up. Sundown towns, also known as sunset towns, gray towns, or sundowner towns, are all white municipalities or neighborhoods in the United States that practice a form of racial segregation by excluding non-whites via some combination of discriminatory local laws, intimidation, or violence. The term came from signs posted that colored people had to leave town by sundown. So there are entire sundown counties, sundown suburbs. Discriminatory policies and actions distinguish sundown towns from towns that have no black residents for demographic reasons. Historically, towns have been confirmed as sundown towns by newspaper articles, county histories, works progress administration files, corroborated by tax or U.S. Census records, showing an absence of black people or sharp drops in the black population between two censuses. Now this is such an archaic concept. It began in 1714. Maybe that's why you don't really know a whole lot about it. But following the end of the Reconstruction era, thousands of towns and counties across the United States became sundown localities as part of the imposition of Jim Crow laws and other segregationist practices. In most cases, the exclusion was official town policies or was promulgated by the community's real estate agents via exclusionary covenants governing who could buy or rent property. In others, the policy was enforced through intimidation. This intimidation could occur in a number of ways, including harassment by law officers and even lynching. So, does that sound like North Kansas City to you? Doesn't to me.
No.
Not from what I saw last night. North Kansas City seems to be taking the lead in being progressive, from what I saw. So it's really not enough to just strike it from the record. I think it might be just a stroke of a pen. would be forced to call someone. That's a threat. He had every right to do that. So, of course, I made a beeline out, and he was obviously shaken, and he called his parents to come pick him up. The manager sat there until he left with his parents, and of course I did too. But I didn't want to press the issue because I didn't want to further traumatize the young man. But that manager needs some severe training and education. And that's the only thing that's really going to combat this horrible mentality that seems to have gained momentum in the last few years. So I would really like to encourage North Kansas City to figure out how to get rid of this designation. Like I said, not just for optics, but then follow up with education. And personally, I would love to work with anyone who is willing to be educated about social justice issues and work with you. So thank you for letting me speak.
Can I ask a follow-up question? So when you said you found us listed on a sundown list or something along those lines, is that something that we can search and look for? Because I think for me personally, there's, I have lots of concerns that we're still being listed in that way, and would love to consider and explore ways we can strategize to get ourselves off that list, but also to create, some of the intent of this council was to to operationalize equity into the way that our city functions, whether it's how we buy products or how we purchase goods and how we have ordinances and those kinds of things. So that's, some of the goals is for this council to help the city to review policies, procedures, education and training. So you'll hear an update later in the meeting about some education and training that's happening with city staff. And so, I think there's countermeasures trying to address this, but that, some of the first step is getting it crossed off the list. So I'd love to be able to reference what you're referring to. Thank you.
Yeah, this is history and social justice. I don't want to go back any further because I'm not terribly tech savvy, and I may not be able to pull it up again. But you can look these up by state. So, and you're not alone. Smithville is also still on there, as well as Sugar Creek. Those are the ones I remember. And I would personally love to point to North KC as the golden model for others to follow. Okay, I'm going to go back.
It's from Tougaloo University. I'm going to go ahead and email it out.
Oh, thank you.
I'm very good at Googling things quickly.
Oh, you're my new BFF.
Tougaloo, it's a HBCU in, I want to say Alabama or Mississippi, but I'm not positive.
Do we have your contact information, Martin? Did you get any of her contact
I have
information?
I have some of her name and number, but we can get it again now so that the committee.
Perfect. Afterwards, that way it's not on all the social media forums. We'll get your contact.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming, Jill, and for explaining that. I really hope we can get to the bottom of that, because that's obviously very awful and archaic. So I'm glad you brought it to the attention, especially with a city council member here and Mr. Saper, so that we can look into that. The next item on the list is our old business, and really the biggest thing here is our strategic plan and the next steps associated with that. I think the last time we really had a super in-depth conversation about the strategic plan was the August meeting, and I unfortunately was gone for that one, so I missed the follow-up to your really good presentation, I think in June or July, when we talked, really outlined, kind of the format of the plan and some of the ideas that we were moving towards. So do we want to revisit that? Do we want to pop it on a screen? I don't know
I
how
think
easy it is to share.
that the next step on that would be to schedule another work session. To try to sort of provide a small recap, because it's been so long, and then to finalize that. Because I think the document, my recollection is that the document is in really good shape. We just need to make some final decisions and sort of wrap that up so we can get that posted and then start following that. So if you'd be open to thinking about a work session tonight, I think
So
getting one on the books.
What I recall, what we're really waiting on is for the subcommittees. I think everything else we had finalized as much as we could. The missing piece was having the subcommittee so we know how to delegate some of these tasks and get on that path, so to speak. I do absolutely think a work session is needed. Our group has not met in a while. I think if we could get subcommittees formulated tonight as far as categories, I can just fill that in on our strategic plan, send it back out again before the work session. And then I think that is when we would sit down and say, okay, we know people are rolling off, who's here, who will be on this subcommittee, what is that going to look like? And then I'm almost thinking that in that work session, then we kind of break out a little bit within that. So if you're on the community engagement subcommittee, or if you're on the marketing committee, or whatever we're going to name them, you would also have time to divide, conquer, come back together, and then share with the group. Does that sound familiar? That's what I remember us needing to do. And I know that we had some ideas, and so what are your all's thoughts if we just spend maybe the next 5-10 minutes doing categories on that for subcommittees? That way I have something to work on before we meet next, schedule a work group meeting. But I think that way we can get something kind of checked off for tonight and then move forward. Does that sound okay?
So I'm just noting that there's categories listed on the agenda.
I put that.
Okay. I was like, those seem like a really good start. I don't
Yeah,
know.
so
Okay.
I put that when I sent to add this on the agenda just for ideas. I think my line of thought was the engagement piece is our outreach when we're going to events. I think one thing, and we've noticed it now, is everything's been a little spontaneous. Like we find out about an event, a couple days before, and then it's really like who is able to go. The thought behind somebody owning this subcommittee is not that they have to do it alone. Like Martin, if you choose to do the engagement committee, that does not mean that you're signing up to attend all of the events. It would mean that you're helping us organize, okay, when's the next upcoming event? You're going to send it out in an email to us, and then you would be responsible for helping find somebody who can attend on behalf of EIC. And then for recruitment, that also could look like it's not just that one person who's only recruiting, it's just helping us get a little bit more organized and structured. So I put engagement, communication would be the newsletter, and then I was thinking about, even when we did the mailers that we sent out, anything that would relate to that in my mind went into communication. The one thing that I could not think of is the community comments. So when public comments happen, I think that there still should be one person who just makes sure that we're on and keeps us accountable and on top of it. I just don't know what category that would fit in, and since we don't have as much of a high increase of people coming to us, it could probably be merged right now into one of these. But what are your all's thoughts on those?
I think it could live in the communication group. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but we've just lost our council member who I think used to run point on that and help us keep track of that. So there's probably a little bit of time sensitivity
Yeah.
to it. Do we have a new council liaison? Not yet? Okay, I know it's a hard time of year to coordinate corral, but,
Yeah, that's a great point. So who would be right now, Mallory, is it you that's checking the stuff that Anna used to?
Short answer, no. I do not have access to that. I think it's out there. Someone called yesterday, and I was notified of the voicemail. It did not pertain at all to anything that we would want to do. It was about marijuana and not even anyways. I think the person was confused or just calling random phone numbers. But the short answer is no. I'm not actively doing that. We do monitor the email and the voicemail when they do come in.
Okay.
They're forwarded, but
Yeah, that sounds great. I think until we have another representative, and then to live under the communication. So if you get anything, forwarding it to one of us. I even think, and once again, you listen to the voicemail, so I don't know what they said, but I think good practice would be, and I don't know if you responded or called back, and I know that it didn't relate to anything, but I think that could be something that we do just to keep good practice and let them know that this is not what we do, but to respond to that. And I can do it since I'm the one mentioning it. But
okay. Well, if it's not deleted,
if it's, and
I
moving
will forward it to you.
if it's moving forward, we can do that. Okay. Other thoughts on subcommittees?
I mean, just something you mentioned that really makes a lot of sense is, it's really just will come down to ownership, I think, on, what people's role is for their subcommittee and following through on that. I think the discussion we had a couple months ago when you presented the information about the strategic plan was really helpful, just when we were outlining like key performance indicators for, how many people we hope to influence, or how many community members we would like to have at our meetings, moving forward. So I'd like to revisit that at our work session and really discuss how, our participation and ownership of those subcommittees can make that happen. I think that's really the next step.
Absolutely. So on
Just
that,
creating those action items.
I don't have it pulled up, and I'm not even going to try to find it, but that is part of ingrained in the strategic plan. So let's say our key KPI is we're going to review policies or whatever. Underneath it would be like point A, review 5 documents, yada yada, and then it does have ownership, and that's where it would be the subcommittee for each individual point. And that would be something that we already did a little bit of. It was more of just now narrowing down what the subcommittees will be. So that's what I'll do between now and the work session, is insert who we said and what committee would that fit in, and then you all can review it, and if there's anything that we need to talk about for the work session, of like, actually this doesn't make any sense, we can do that as well. But hopefully that piece is taken care of before the work session, and I'll just kind of plug those in. And then we would just need to assign committee members to these subcommittees. I think we had talked about, and I think Gabby, you had mentioned this, the ideal situation, there'd be 2 on each subcommittee. One person who is new, one person who, so there's kind of always an ongoing, one person is on that committee. When they roll off, the other person would have been on there for a year. And so I think we can be strategic on how we delegate these. But I think for ongoing and sustainability, I think trying to get 2 people, one might be newer like myself versus someone, and I work with someone who's been on the committee for 2 years or whatnot.
I have just a kind of a question that's adjacent. It's not maybe embedded in the strategic plan, but the budget, just how did the budget land? What did we end up with in terms of funds? how does that then integrate into the strategic plan? You know, like this $800 is earmarked for outreach or swag or whatever. So I don't know if there's a correlation there. And then once it's completed, I would encourage that it's publicly shared, so that it lives out in the webosphere, so that people can, you know, access it and hold us accountable for meeting goals that were set. So
That's awesome. And I'm sure that we could also post it on that website page
Mhm.
too.
Yeah, so that would be the plan, would be to post the strategic plan on your webpage.
Okay.
Yeah.
For finances, it is embedded in the strategic plan. Since the strategic plan was for, I think, like 4 years, and we have to do the budget every year, I did like a 2023, 2024, and then we can do 2025 as well. I'll put what we did this year in there as reference for the public, and then I think at the work session, one thing that we might do, and one of this might be like the finance or like the marketing and finance go together, but we would just have to look at what we spent last year, because that's going to be a great reference. Like, how much did we spend on shirts? So I can predict, okay, 2023, we're probably going to spend 2 times as much because we give them all away. So that information we can do at the work session.
And just out of curiosity, and maybe, I'm sure it's probably publicly out there in the city council minutes, but what was approved for us for 2023?
$10,000, and you spent $1,500 on the multicultural event.
Right.
Maybe some of you don't know that, but it was a consensus that you sponsored that event. So
And then fiscal year runs October 1?
Mhm.
Okay. So it's 8,500 remains. Okay.
Cool. I did not know that, but that's great news. Okay, so just to recap, to make sure, we would need, there's 8 of us, there's supposed to be 9 of us.
Some of us are rolling off, myself included.
Well, no, so we had this conversation, I think, right before. So just because your term expires 1/1 of 23 does not mean that you won't attend the January meeting and continue to serve. You continue to serve until you're reappointed or you drop off, or you decide you don't want to be on it anymore. So I spoke to the mayor, and you would just continue serving until reappointed. So if you haven't already, reach out to your council member who appointed you. If it's not the same person, reach out to who's ever serving now in that position. Let them know if you'd like to be reappointed or not. If you do not want to serve anymore at the time of your expiration, if you expire on January 1st of 2023, let us know, and we'll take you off. But if you'd like to continue to serve, you can continue to serve until your council person either reappoints you or appoints someone else.
Cool beans. Events. Events is one category. But I think that and community engagement could be the same thing. Communications would be another one. And then I think that, like, I'm wondering if recruitment can also go into the community engagement piece. Like, as we're out and about, that's how we're going to get people. And so I think that can kind of be morphed into one, so to speak. Keeping in mind that it's not just up to those 2 people, will all help out, but it's just they're going to help organize and keep us accountable. Communications would be another subcommittee. And then what are your thoughts on, like, what would be if we want to do 3 or 2 subcommittees?
I think knowing that we only have 6 of us, and also is it 3 or more meet? We have to post minutes to make sense to me, and keeping it like 3 committees where they're kind of just bunched up right now. That makes sense to me because we've really struggled with getting a quorum, as evidenced by our missed meetings. But I think once we have new members and like we just have a larger group, that's when we can divide it up a little more, because I don't believe anything would keep us from that.
Yeah. So we can do events and community engagement as 1. What about marketing and budget 2? And then communications 3, and that's 2 people on each one, and then we don't have to do minutes. Does that sound okay to everyone?
The recruitment would go along with
Well, I think recruitment, that could go along with the community engagement. Like I said, when you went to that event, you're talking to a lot of people, and I think, as we all step in to do that, we can be mindful and ask people when they're interested. But I'll do marketing and finances in one clump. And then communications would be like the newsletter and, responding to, public comments and calls and whatnot. I think that was 10 minutes. It might have been over. That's my bad.
So again, so far, the three, subcommittees, maybe would be, communication, community engagement, and events, did you say?
Community engagement and events being the same, yeah. With recruitment, yes. That's a big one. So it's really just two. Marketing and then finance would be the other one. And they would help us.
So communication and marketing are separate?
I was thinking maybe marketing is not the right word, but I was thinking about when we're ordering supplies and t-shirts and pens and just staying up to date on what that looks like and then ordering them. So in my head it was marketing, but if we have a better word that is not as confusing, I will gladly switch that. We could.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Someone could be
branding,
the
marketing.
Branding.
chair on that, yeah.
Yeah.
Branding.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I guess, I think in my mind, always in organizations, they're bundled together, marketing and communications, so.
Yeah.
Just-
We could do branding and finances can be that last one.
Yeah.
In the past, have we done where we try to set a meeting now, or Mallory, have you sent out?
It's up to you guys, whatever you want to do. If it's easier if I email tomorrow okay, so how would we feel about doing 6 p.m. on our next meeting date? So like we have a work session at 6 and then the meeting at 7?
I'm okay with that.
So we could hammer
think
that out real
that's-
quick.
So I'm just going to disclose right now, I don't have the intention to re-up my term.
Okay.
So that's going to leave a whole Ward 2. I have someone potentially interested. So I'm going to keep working on that. But my 2 years are up, and I didn't realize there was an option to auto renew because I've already engaged in other commitments. So, so just in planning the subcommittees, unless there's subcommittee work that can include non-council members, but I think currently it's just council members.
Do we feel good about our next, what would have been a regular committee meeting being the work session at 6? Or before the regular session? For those with babies, I don't know how difficult
That works for me. No, I'm cool with that. I mean, it's far enough in advance to plan, and that's the 12th is what I'm looking at. So
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, do you think you need a whole hour?
I think that we would.
Okay.
Because I think the goal is one, to assign what subcommittee we're going to do, but then I would love to still have time for the subcommittee people to get together. So if it's Zeta and I, we're going to talk kind of amongst ourselves maybe during a little bit of that
Okay.
time to strategize.
Okay, so then we will plan for 6 p.m. on Thursday, January 12th for a work session, and then our regular meeting at 7 p.m. on Thursday.
Do we need a full quorum for a work session?
No. Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
Say Mike said.
all right, so I think that wraps up old business, and thank you, Ashley, for refreshing all of our memories on that and driving the discussion about the subcommittees. So we'll reconvene on that at our work session on the 12th. The new business section starts off with the Multicultural Festival, which we've already heard a little bit about. And Martin, I don't know if you can share some more about how the event went and what you observed.
I think it was a success. Of course, everybody know by now that we are a major sponsor. We are the major sponsor.
Yeah, the title sponsor.
The title
So, yeah, the Hornet Hive was a little bit jealous of you guys. Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it was successful. And from people in the audience that I spoke to, seems like there were more high school students this year that participated in it than last year, and less adults. There's a lot of adults there, but I just got that feeling. It was larger this year. There were more performances this year, and so the organizers of that event told me that they had planned several years out, and every year it should be a little larger, more expansive, and everything. So it sounds like they got a good thing going, and they want to make sure that I tell everybody thank you so much for being the major sponsor, the sponsor. So we're looking forward to it next year also. I think it went well.
Can we continually add that sponsorship to the budget? I don't know if who's the contact for that? How did we get connected?
Reed Pearman. She was here.
She's my next door neighbor. She's your neighbor too. Yeah. Yeah. She's a junior.
Okay. I can't imagine them saying no, but that way I can go ahead and add that to our 2023-2024 budget when we think about and when we ask for more, if we can continue to sponsor them, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and Reed is a junior, so I think she'll be back next year. Like I noted, back to back leadership roles for the multicultural festival, which would be really awesome.
Do you think it'd be possible if there was photos taken to include it in the newsletter? Yeah, just a little blurb
So
about
the
sponsorship.
mayor's and his wife have lots of photos. They showed them to me today.
Nice.
So maybe we could get some from them if someone can type up a little article. The deadline on the newsletter would be like tomorrow.
Oh.
So that's
Well, it doesn't have to be this quarter, right? It could be something to plan
totally
for next quarter
Yeah,
and just
we
say,
could do
here's
it.
what
Mhm.
we're proud sponsor, presenting sponsor or whatever the title is.
Yeah.
Be
Was there
something
any-
to report out.
Was there anything from the trunk or treat photos or anything? Because we could continue, I mean, like, I think moving forward, kind of taking photos, and then that could be our ongoing when we post in the newsletter, just kind of like what we've been up to and all that. So, yeah, tomorrow's a hard deadline to meet there.
Yeah,
so
and
I'm
you
not
would get
sure.
really lucky because we're past our internal deadline just
Oh.
because it's been crazy. So, I mean, if you wanted to, you could. And I don't have any photos from the trunk or treat because I was so busy handing out candy myself. That was just a crazy event. But I could see if Parks has some. And then I thought we could add photos and events that you guys have attended on your webpage too. So that would be a thought.
Yeah, I think that would be the route. Maybe not. I know that I could not commit to getting something to you by tomorrow, but I think we could post on our
Yeah.
webpage.
Yeah, so we can certainly do that.
So we've kind of touched on this already. So member recruitment will be a big part, I think, of our 2023 strategy as we see some people trickle off and need some other seats to be filled. But along with member recruitment, we do have upcoming vacancies listed here, just as new business. So let's talk a little more about that, just since we are kind of running right at a quorum, I feel like, with each meeting.
Is there, I know that I just said that I wasn't going to commit to this. Is there a way that maybe we could have just like a little blurb in the newsletter for tomorrow that has like a copy and paste of like, if you want to join, we're looking for open, or we have seats open?
I can probably do that for you. I don't make any promises, but I
Bless you,
can probably
Mallory.
do it. Canva will be my, does anyone use
Okay.
Canva here? Like, that'll be.
Yes. Canva.
No, we do the newsletter in InDesign. So, but I will make the little graphic in Canva because it'll already be made for me and I'll just plug some things.
Perfect.
So blurb about, we'd love to have you join.
Just, yeah, and I think
Okay.
we've had it in past ones.
Oh, just the one that we use for boards and commissions, maybe? Or you guys think you had your own? Okay, okay, I'll go back and look for that. Maybe I
Our
can
section,
do
yeah,
that.
it should be pretty apparent if you have just one of the.
Would it be
previous
helpful to
newsletters.
type up some of the language that we'd like to include?
Uh,
Send it to you?
Sure, that would be great.
Great,
yeah.
I can take a great stab at
That
it.
would be fabulous.
Are there any other roll-offs?
Yeah, so Zeta.
What? Zeta's rolling off?
Her term expires 1/1/23. She hasn't said that she
Okay.
doesn't want to continue.
All right.
She also, I'm
She was
pretty
a
sure
one-year
she
person, though,
started-
maybe. I think she
Oh,
filled
She
someone.
filled an
oh,
unexpired
Yeah,
someone's,
maybe
yeah.
Jess's, maybe. Yeah.
Gabby. Actually, Bess, I show you going off. Okay. But you would be interested in still, okay. And then Yvonne. Is that right? So,
And then for our council member representative, because that's an important liaison role, how does that happen? Is that an appointment by the mayor?
I believe the whole council. I wasn't here for the last one. Does the whole council select, or does the mayor?
Yeah, well, approves.
Or, right,
Yeah.
approves?
Yeah.
Someone volunteers?
The
or-
mayor selects, recommends who the council representative.
Do we have to formally act on that, or is that going to naturally happen because yeah, like recruiting for, not that we would have to recruit, but I just want to make sure that there's nothing that we have to do in those steps to get a liaison. Okay. And I assume that we have not had any applicants.
we have not.
What about past applications? Because there was a little bulk of them for a minute.
So since I've been tracking them, so for a year now, we have not received any applications for the EIC. If there was prior ones, I'm not aware of those, and the mayor hasn't been inclined to, or the council members who would have those applications haven't brought them forward.
This is a delicate question. Is Kim still here?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Because Kim was the one that brought that forward. Because we also had a change in liaison at that time.
So how it works is the council members receive those applications direct when they're sent in. They're distributed to the council members. So at the time that the application was made, they were distributed to the council member. So we could look back and see if there's still some
I think it would have been
outstanding.
back with Lisa for
Okay, okay. Yeah, we can
just
look back to
before Anna got.
see. Okay.
Is there also a possibility, like I was not texting, I was trying to look up our Facebook page. Is there any way that the city could post, since we don't have social media, that they could do a social media post on their social media?
We just did. So if you go back not too far, there was one, and it lists all of our board and commission openings, and you are always included on there because you have an opening. So it's a standard little graphic that we use.
There's a lot of great things on here.
So for those of us counting at home, we have 3 vacancies, right, at this point? After Gabby's
You have,
departure,
yes.
4 vacancies?
No, you have 3. You have the vacant spot,
Well, Zeta will,
Zeta,
assuming Zeta remains.
if she wants to stay. We know that Gabby's in April's spot, and then we
Okay.
might have 4.
Just wanted to make that crystal clear, so 3 spots, okay. Cool.
And the quorum number is based off of 9, even if 9 spots have not been filled.
Correct, because you guys put it in your bylaws that it had to be 5.
Makes sense.
So the next item on the new business is a DEI training update from the city.
So Casey Campbell, I think you all know who's our HR manager, provided me the numbers. So we've had 100% of employees complete the training, and we've had 9 boards or commission members complete the training, 2 from the library, 4 from the Parks Department, 1 from this board, and 2 from the City Council.
That's awesome. I think that warrants newsletter,
Well, I was just about to say, could we?
but not by tomorrow.
Was staff? Did they had to? Were they mandated to do that?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
But still, 100%. That's cool. Maybe it's not for tomorrow, but we'll add that to our next communications newsletter that we do, and by then maybe there will be more, and so we can even add more people. Has there been any feedback?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, from an employee who took it, it was not a bad training. I mean, as far as, they're, how they are. But it was, I thought it was good. Haven't heard any other feedback from employees.
Okay.
Nothing negative or anything, so.
Who here on the committee has taken it? Because I know that we also were able to take it. Okay, it was
I did
30
not.
minutes. I don't know if Casey can maybe resend it, but I think that would be a good start here, and especially then when we post in the newsletter. But to encourage you guys to also take it, like I said, 30 minutes, and it wasn't.
So I think how it works is, I think if you go back, I think I sent the original email and told
Oh,
you
okay.
to request it from Casey.
Okay.
So you probably did that. So that's how it has to work, because she
Mhm.
has to send you an
Okay.
individualized
Sign it.
link
Mhm.
to it. Yeah.
Can you remind me of the vendor that we went with?
Starts with a K.
Yeah. What it does start with a K.
K
Um,
A T. Oh, something.
I cannot
Katera,
remind you of the
something
vendor.
like
I'm
that.
sorry.
Okay. No, I'm just, I mean, because, part of
Oh,
my day
gosh.
job is going through a lot of these trainings and like different vendors and stuff. So I just finished several of them. So I just wondered if maybe by chance I had accidentally already taken it, but I haven't.
It's not how I spelled
To piggyback
It's Cantola.
it. Cantola.
Yeah.
I'm missing the N.
Ooh, that took some brain power there.
I'm impressed. I was just going to say, I think it would be definitely something we should all make a goal to reach out to Casey before our next meeting, and if we can spare 30 minutes during the holidays or whatever, to just watch that, I think that would be really, really valuable for all of us. So.
How long ago did you send the email, Melanie?
I was just looking at that, Martin. How about if I just resend it?
Yeah, I think it
Okay.
was like summer.
Yeah,
It
it
felt like a
was
while.
it was warm out, definitely. Yeah.
And the final item on new business, I know in the past there's been a distribution plan for hats and gloves, warm weather attire. Is that something the city has discussed or has come up in city council meetings and prior to the winter months?
I don't think anyone knows that you have those. So, no.
Okay. Well, in that case, should we discuss that, or do we know who added that item to the?
I think that was Zeta.
Yeah.
That it did. Okay.
I think it was Zeta because we had talked about that, adding that part for the budget. The issue is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mallory, we can't donate. We wouldn't be able to donate money to an organization that distributes hats and gloves, and so we talked about doing our own hats and gloves distribution, and that I don't know if that would have been at events. Like, I'm not quite sure what the goal was for it, but
I don't know what the goal was either, but I've got a lot of hats and gloves.
But you bought them, right? Okay. so
Yeah,
they're- Okay.
we own them, yep.
Okay. How many are we talking about?
I
Like,
think we did 500,
okay.
wasn't that right?
So-
500, 300?
I mean, that feels like something that I'm willing to volunteer to do now before I leave. Is, there's camps at the bottom of the bridge. We could go a night that uplifts there. There's other homeless services here in Northtown that we could get them to. I don't know about shelters per se, but is the city planning for a warming center this year?
We don't do a warming center, but we do work with the North Lane Assistance Center and provide rooms for unsheltered individuals. And it's already happened 190 times this year, I think was the report said. So you could work with them, North Lane Assistance Center, maybe as their that's like part of, I know that they provide them additional things above and beyond the room that is provided. Clothes, those kind of things.
what we could do, and we could get their contact information, but call and see first and foremost, are they already doing it? Do they need extra donations in that? And then if they are like, we actually already have some.
I'll speak for Rita. She needs extra donations.
Okay, perfect.
Always. I don't know. On the Northeast, it's Rita Pierce who runs it, and she's
Yeah.
always soliciting. They'll take anything. So
Okay,
I'm sure she would.
let's
like
partner
that.
with them, and that I think would be a. Did they have a logo or anything on them, or they were just plain?
Just plain.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
So could I make that introduction virtually via email, and then you guys can reach out, and of course, I'm happy to deliver them whatever you decide you want done with the hats and gloves.
And I'm happy to follow up on that before the end of the year.
All right, that is the end of the new business. Are there any announcements from the committee members this month?
I don't have an announcement. I just had a question of, are there any other upcoming events or anything that anybody knows about that's something that we should be attending? I just truly don't know. Mallory, I'm going to look at you because you probably know. Is there any community events or any other things that Northtown's putting on?
We're holding a ribbon cutting. You're all invited. Please come.
Wow.
We're holding a ribbon cutting on December 13th at the southwest corner of Armour and Swift, so by the big Christmas tree to celebrate our downtown streetscape. There will be several members of the business community there, so that would be a good engagement. There will also be hot cocoa, coffee, and tea. So that's an event that the city is having. I don't know of anything else. Do you?
That sounds, and you said that was the 13th?
That is December 13th. You guys are going to get 4 emails from me, but I'll send you guys an invitation to that.
Awesome, sounds good.
Is there a calendar of events anywhere in our newsletter, or do we have that in the
So
newsletter?
we put, the best way to know about events is honestly, because they come up more frequently than the newsletter, since it's only quarterly, is to watch the city council meetings at the end, or even look at the packet. We do have an upcoming items of note item. It's one of the last items on the agenda. And so we have items in there. Also, another really great way is our week in review that Kim puts out every Friday. So if you follow us on social media, it's posted on the website. You can receive an email blast for it that lists all of the events that we previously did and then those that are forthcoming. So I think those would probably be the best way. We don't have a centralized calendar per se.
Maybe at the work session, we could get a big calendar, so have put all of our events on it. That would go along with the subcommittee also. Picking the subcommittees, and if it's a visual, we can be a little bit better for us if we had a large calendar to work with.
Speaking of calendar, I see that Yvonne's got
Oh,
Oh, it's an old one? Are the new ones out yet?
No. You're looking at the person that's doing that. They are almost done.
Okay,
So it will be
soon.
the next week or two.
No worries.
I will say that the NKC basketball teams play usually Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, Fridays for the girls and boys. So those are good events, I think, to meet people in the community and spread the word about us. So we can get our T-shirts out there and, you know, sit in the crowd and see if that draws any attention. But I think those are good events just naturally to go to throughout the winter. So
Is that the high school? Or?
yeah.
Okay.
For sure. I think the boys are 4-0. Last I checked. Haven't checked the girls' record, but I think they're pretty solid too. Well, if they're
That already happened. That was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, the same week that we had the mayor's Christmas tree lighting. So, yeah.
Are there any additional T-shirts? I did have 2 requests from residents. Okay.
You can thank Martin. He gave them all away. But I'm going to order more.
Okay. I have it, just a 2XL, 2 of them if you have it. Yeah.
all right. In that case, I think we will move to adjourn the meeting here at about 7:59 on the button. So pretty well done for timing here. But thanks again to Jill for coming and visiting with us at the multicultural fair yesterday, and for all your all's time as well. So yeah,
Thank
should I-
you. Happy holidays.
there we go. Yeah, happy holidays.
One thing, that blue part, if we're doing one thing better,